we're talking about what we think is the only Stoic principle you really need in order to be happy.
This will simplify the entire philosophy down to basically one sentence.
Yeah, we call it the golden rule of Stoicism. Yo, welcome back to Brolosophy. This is episode 11. I am Mike Fio.
I'm Nick Fio.
And we are the Fio Bros.
And our intention with this podcast is super simple: to share practical wisdom for a happier, more fulfilling life.
Yes.
The golden rule of Stoicism. What is it, Mike?
The golden rule of Stoicism is focus on what you can control and forget the rest. Or, as Epictetus would say, make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. So once upon a time, a man in a wheelchair was asked, "Is it hard feeling confined all the time?" And the man in the wheelchair responds, "If it wasn't for my wheelchair, I'd be bedbound and never able to leave the house. So no, I don't feel confined by my wheelchair. I'm liberated by it." I love that story.
Why?
Because it's the perfect example. It's like this guy who seemingly got dealt this shitty hand of not being able to use his legs. He's being asked, like, doesn't it suck to not be able to use your legs and to be in this wheelchair? Like, you can't stand. You have to go everywhere in this wheelchair. Doesn't that suck? And he's like, no, you're thinking about this all wrong. Without this wheelchair, I'd be in bed. Like, it could be worse. He chose his attitudes towards the quote-unquote disability. He chose his attitude towards it. He saw the opportunity as opposed to what was taken away from him.
He made the best of the situation.
Exactly. He used the golden rule.
Yeah.
It's so simple, but I love it.
That's a really powerful story.
Yeah, and then I did some more research and I found some more prominent figures heading into this episode just out of my own curiosity, and I found the story of Helen Keller. So I thought she was born blind and deaf, but she actually wasn't. She became blind and deaf at 19 months old. And so she learned to write and read in Braille. So even though she was deaf and blind, imagine being deaf and blind and trying to learn something. You can't hear and you can't see. So you can't fucking... It's like, what do you do there? I can't even imagine that.
That is
so she learned Braille. She made lemonade.
Wow.
She learned Braille, bro. She touched dots. And through touching dots, was able to interpret language and did it so well that she became the first deaf-blind person to earn a Bachelor of Arts degree. She earned a college degree being deaf and blind.
Wow.
That is insane, bro. That takes some level of, like, commitment to only focusing on what you can control and making the best of any cards that you were dealt.
Yeah.
It's an extreme example.
That story kind of gives me chills.
Insane.
It really, it's when you think of the victim mentality, that is like the complete opposite of it. It's like someone who was just determined to make this one life they have, no matter how it was given to them, the best it could possibly be.
Yeah.
And you see it all the time too. I went to college and I was on the football team for a little bit, and this one dude had half an arm, and he was one of the best players on the team, and he was bench pressing with like the nub of his arm. And it was just another one of those examples of like this guy he will not let anything stop him. He is determined to whatever life hands him, he's going to make the best of it. And it was this clear example of like your attitude on your situation is everything. Yeah. We put so much attention on things happening outside of us, and we get into these patterns of blaming and complaining, and it completely annihilates us of our power.
Yeah. Do you want to tell the last story that we have of a real life example?
The last story is about Nelson Mandela. He, as everyone I'm sure knows, was in prison for 27 years. Take a second to actually think about that. That's how long you've been alive. It's a little.
That's insane.
So that is a lot a lot of years.
And he was in prison because he was trying to do the right thing. He was trying to fight for freedom in South Africa.
Which is even crazier, right? So he goes
So he shouldn't have been in prison, objectively speaking.
Yes.
But he was.
And his mentality was, okay, they're going to put me here. I am not going to let my time here go to waste. And he read and he studied. And through his time in prison, he actually ended up getting a law degree.
Insane.
Which is wild. But then on top of that, he was so patient, so calm, that when he came out of prison 27 years later, he lit the world on fire in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
He won the Nobel Peace Prize. He became the first black president of South Africa.
And he freed South Africa.
Have you ever seen the movie Invictus?
No.
Oh, it's a great movie. Just check it out.
But it's another insane example. He had every reason to dwell on the unfairness of this situation. He was trying to do the right thing. He was in prison. He had every reason to be a victim. He was a victim. He literally was. But he decided, I am not going to fall into this victim mentality. I am going to focus on what is within my control. And he made the best of it.
Yeah.
He had people don't even get a law degree outside of jail. He got it in jail.
Yeah.
That's insane. Super inspiring.
It is. No, there's so many stories like this. There's so many.
Endless.
And it really gives you hope because
Gives you strength.
it gives you strength because we go through stuff. Well, everyone goes through stuff all the time. Obviously, it's not as crazy as going through 27 years in prison
Or being deaf and blind.
But we all go through our own micro battles. And hearing these stories of people overcoming them with their attitude is a great reminder for us when we're going through our little battles or big battles, whatever they are,
Yeah.
to really just try to focus on the things we can control and make the best of the situation because our life is going to be improved because of it. And like we see with Nelson Mandela and Viktor Frankl, everyone else's life is going to be improved because of it.
Yeah.
So it's even bigger than us, right? Because this stuff happened to him and because they responded in this way, we're talking about them now, right? He freed a country. He shared his wisdom with millions of people who read his book now. So it can be even bigger than just us.
Yeah. That's a perfect place to wrap up this episode, I think, and end it with a call to action.
What do you got for us?
The call to action is when adversity strikes, whether that be you just got dumped, you just got fired, or it could be as little as you're sitting in traffic or someone did something to really piss you off. You have two options. Option one is to have the victim mentality. And the victim mentality blames everyone else for what's happening to you. It completely removes your power. And the victim mentality looks like this is their fault. Instead of doing that, use the golden rule. Take full responsibility.
Let me jump in. It's not another one of the famous sayings that come up of not only is it's all their fault, this always happens to me.
Yeah.
Is another common line. So if you feel those thoughts popping in your head, like, oh, this always happens to me, or I'm so unlucky,
Or this is not fair.
Of course this will happen.
This is not fair.
This is not fair. Those sayings, if you start becoming aware of those things popping up in your head, know that you're in that victim mentality and you need to make a drastic shift to get out of it. And
chances are you're focusing, actually there's a 100% chance you're focusing on what you cannot control about the situation. That's why you're saying it's not fair.
Yeah.
You're completely removing your power.
Exactly.
Be like Helen Keller. Be like
Nelson Mandela.
And take control of your life. Be like Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca. Use the golden rule of Stoicism. Focus on what you can control. And we have turned this golden rule of Stoicism into a golden question that we can ask ourselves to really make this practical. When you're in that moment of adversity, ask yourself, what can I control? And how can I make the best of this? If you can answer that question, you're on the path to not a victim mindset, but a hero. You are becoming the hero of your own story. And like you said, not only will you help change your life and your trajectory, but it ripples to the rest of the world. So be a hero, be a true Stoic, use the golden rule, ask yourself the golden question, and have yourself a day.
Good ending.
You like that?
I like it. I like the passion.
You like that shit?
You got passion. So how can I make the best of it? Let's conclude on that. Love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Episode 11 in the books. See ya next time. Peace.